Now to President Trump and an uptick in his approval rating. Our new ABC News Washington Post poll out this morning shows President Trump's numbers have improved this coming as he turns his focus again to immigration, leaving the door open for a potential new child separation policy.
But that same poll showing Democrats gaining ground on that issue, 50% of people saying they would do a better job on immigration versus just 38% who think that Republicans would do a better job. ABC's White House correspondent Tara Palmieri joins us now live with more. Good morning, Tara.
Good morning. That's right. The president said on the White House lawn that the child separation policy works, that it deters illegal immigration, and he seemed to suggest that he hasn't given up on that policy.
Democrats want to abolish ICE, and they want to turn America into a giant sanctuary for criminal aliens.
Just weeks before the midterms, President Trump revealing he is not giving up on his zero-tolerance immigration policy.
We're looking at everything, Phil, that you can look at it when it comes to illegal immigration.
The Washington Post reporting that the Trump administration is now weighing a new version of it.
Well, I will say this. If they feel there will be separation, they don't come.
According to the Post, the president is considering a plan that gives parents who cross the border illegally two choices: stay in family detention with their children for months or years as their immigration case proceeds, or allow children to be taken to a government shelter so other relatives or guardians can seek custody.
We have the dumbest immigration laws in the world. The world laughs at us, but we're getting them changed. We need some more Republicans.
This comes after the Trump administration faced backlash for what some were calling a family separation policy. While the crackdown ended in June, hundreds of children remain in detention, shelters, or foster care. And U.S. officials say more than 200 are not eligible for reunification or release. The Department of Health and Human Services also releasing new video footage from inside a Texas detention center. Here, the center in Tornillo, Texas, housing 2,400 children seen playing, eating together, and bunking in close quarters. The two women in President Trump's life, Ivanka Trump and Melania Trump, say they are against the child separation policy. The First Lady told our Tom Yamas that she was blindsided by it and told her husband that it was unacceptable. Adrian?
All right. Thank you so much, Tara. A lot to talk about in the world of politics. So let's bring in ABC News chief anchor George Stephanopoulos.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning to you. Good to have you with us as always. Let's start with the latest uptick in approval ratings for the president. A lot of people are talking about it. He has seen improvement. So what's fueling these numbers? And then the second part of the question is, how will voters' feelings, either positive or negative, affect their midterm vote?
Well, I think there's two things fueling the president's rise. One, the economy is doing very well. And secondly, I think he's really consolidated Republican support in the wake of that fight over Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh. I think that's really helped him unify Republicans and get them excited again. So we have seen an uptick. Now, 41%. Still not great. It's still in a danger zone for presidents going into midterm. Most presidents who have approval ratings that low going into the midterms lose seats in the midterm elections. But it is on the rise, and that's helped.
When you break down those numbers, there seems to be a real difference in opinion when you look at gender. Women are more disapproving of the president. They prefer Democratic House candidates. And overall, there seems to be more of a sense of urgency about this midterm with women. What's driving that, and how critical do you think the female vote is going to be?
Well, first of all, this gender gap is as high as we've ever seen in polling. We've been polling the gender gap going back to 1982. It's never been this high going into midterm election. It's something we've seen develop through the last campaign. Women are generally turned off. It's not so much policy, or not only policy. It's President Trump's character, temperament, the way he goes about his business. And of course, the Me Too movement is fueling it as well. We've seen a tremendous rise also in female candidates, particularly on the Democratic side. And this is, I think, going to be the key thing to watch in this election. If women come out in the kind of numbers we've seen them expressing in this poll right now, that is very good news for Democrats.
And George, immigration back in the headlines, the president talking about it, reports of a new possible policy. But another interesting piece of this poll, 50% of Americans saying that they trust Democrats to better handle immigration compared to 38% for Republicans. Is the president's zero-tolerance policy, specifically the separation of families, impacting the GOP? And is that a negative impact?
Well, you know, it's a mixed impact. I mean, I think that our poll is right. I think generally voters prefer Democrats to Republicans on immigration. They generally reject President Trump's hardline policies, but the president's base loves them. And it's one of the things that gets them most excited, gets them most enthusiastic about going to the polls. So I think how it will actually impact the election, kind of a wash.
Let's talk about a move from platform to the disappearance of this Washington Post journalist, Jamal Khashoggi. Is this some type of diplomatic minefield for the president?
It certainly is. I mean, the president and his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, have really struck a strong alliance with the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, who, according to some reports, is behind the disappearance of Jamal Khashoggi. So far, we haven't heard anything from the Saudis but denials, but he has not emerged from the embassy. It's almost certain that he's dead. You've seen what the president has said right there. He wants to punish the Saudis, but he doesn't want to take away the arms sales. And what is he going to do? And is he willing to create a breach in that relationship? Big question for the president, a lot at stake.
All right, thank you so much.
And he said he would be willing to talk to them about this. When you talk to someone in this type of subject matter, how careful do you have to be with the language?
And do you just accept the denial? Right, for now, the president is simply accepting the denials of the Saudis, saying they deny it, but he's also going to talk to the Crown Prince himself. Right now, on its face, the denial is not all that credible. Yeah. And we have different information coming in from the Turks, from our own intelligence. The president is going to have to make a decision on this in the coming days.
And Congress appears to be taking some steps on their
Very
own as
hard
well.
line.
Yeah.
All right, thank you,
Thanks, guys.
George.
George, good to see you.
And a reminder this morning, George has a big show. He will go one-on-one with White House National Economic Council Director Larry Kudlow about the state of the economy, plus Senators Jeff Flake and Bernie Sanders discuss the midterm elections and our new ABC News Washington Post poll numbers. That is all coming up on This Week right here on ABC.